Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Carving It Up Live right here on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitter. As always, I'm Bryson Carver. It is Game 2 of the NBA Finals tonight, 3 hours from now. Going to react to Game 1 in just a second to lead off the show. Also going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Bryson DeChambeau won the match over Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson, who I picked. Excellent. Just couldn't have been this part. Some give Anderson, who was calling the match, he didn't give him anything about whether in Green Bay. So I'm going to talk about that. Also, what to expect from Giannis. Giannis looked at least healthier than we thought he'd look in Game 1. I'm going to tell you what we should expect from him tonight in Game 2 of the NBA Finals. And at the end of the show, I'm going to predict Game 2 of the NBA Finals. I will say this. It's going to be close. I'll leave it at that. I'll predict it at the show. But first, Game 1, Phoenix Suns, Milwaukee Bucks in Phoenix. Phoenix won the game 118-105. Now, for the record, I picked the Suns to win by 11, and they won by 13. Excuse me, I picked them by 12, and they won by 13. So, so far in predictions, so good. But yet another master by Chris Paul. Another master. And him and Milwaukee is up. Because DeAndre Ayton, ladies and gentlemen, and I've said throughout the playoffs, being the young hero for Phoenix, most valuable player, arguably in the entire NBA, considering what he's done going from team to team and winning. Devin Booker, best scorer on the Monty Williams, excellent head coach. DeAndre Ayton has been the unsung hero. He's been and he was great. He's the next great man in the game. Like we got Embiid and Jokic are the two best big men in the league, and probably put Anthony Davis right behind them. I probably put it over Jokic, but those are the three best men in the league. This guy's up next. 22 points, 19 rebounds at his finals debut. A stat line that in his first game as a center under the age of 25, a stat line like that has not been put up since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Pretty good company. All around is a great performance by Memphis. And here's the thing that that was really interesting for me, is that when you look at the Bucks, and I'll talk about Giannis a little later in the show, but Giannis, we thought his season was over last week. And the other night, Tuesday night, 20 points, 17 rebounds, 6 for 11 for the field. Now, obviously, you want him to take more than 11 shots. But I think Game 1 was really, really, really big for the Bucks and for Giannis. Because they needed to get that game where he's like, okay, I'm healthy, I'm ready to go. And they moved from there. Chris Middleton gave you 29 points. Kept him in the game single-handedly at the end of the third quarter when Phoenix was looking like it was just going to pull away. And the Bucks made a nice little run, cut the lead down to 7 midway through the fourth quarter. But at the end of the day, Phoenix held on and won the game by 13. But I'm seeing this right now. Like a lot of people are just killing Jrue Holiday. And there's no excuses. Like Drew's got to be better. In 40 minutes, he gave you 10 points. He's got to be better. However, this is why what Charles Barkley said last week when the Bucks won the Eastern Conference had a lot of merit to it. And I said, I agree with Chuck. Because what he said was, basically, when Giannis is out, and guys, I said this about Paul George. With the points, 40 minutes. Sorry for technical difficulties. Hopefully we're back on. We are. But basically what I was saying, better. But I feel the Paul George syndrome. And Paul is a better player than Drew Holiday, but in where Paul's like, okay, Kawhi's the guy. Okay, I defer of adjustment by Coach Bud. The thing for me was this. Milwaukee, a much older team than Phoenix. I mean, look at the age of all the guys. Giannis is in year 8. I mean, he's the guy. He's in his 8th year. So they're a slower team. I saw them, especially in the second quarter, and this is when the Phoenix Suns kind of pulled away a little bit. When the Bucks were trying to get out in transition, slow it down. Phoenix, you're playing right into. That's ultimately what the Bucks is trying to keep up with Phoenix. What did Cleveland do? Is a lot of the Cleveland Gold Finals when Cleveland got 3-1. Then those first 4 games, Cleveland was trying to push the tempo on transition, and Golden State was like, "Thank you," played right into their hands. Let's have a comment here from John Rivera. Shout out to him. Drew Holiday has been a disappointment all playoffs. He has. I thought he'd be better. But in his defense, when Giannis is out, he's like, okay, it's me and Chris. They all too. Ultimately, Drew could hey, as many shots as I want. And you did it against the Hawks in Game 5. And I think that fact, it's like Paul George with the Clippers when Kawhi was out, as opposed to when Kawhi was healthy. But back Cleveland Golden State 2016, those last 3 games, what did Ty Lue do and LeBron do? Slow it down, get good shots, wear them down a little bit, take all the shot clock you need to take. As they say, the rest was history. Cleveland came back from 3-1 deficit. And so when I'm in Milwaukee, what I'm really, really going to be paying attention to tonight is slow down the pace, get good shots. You're counting on the role players to give you something on the road. Not what they would give you at home, because we all know role players always are better at home as opposed to on the road. But can they give you something? That's what you're going to have to be watching for in Game 2 tonight. But impressive win by the Suns. I picked up to win Game 1. I've got them winning the series in 6 games. And as I said, I'll predict Game 2 at the end of the show. Now, before I get to Giannis, let me transition to the NFL real quick. Aaron Rodgers, Bryson DeChambeau versus Tom Brady, Phil Mickelson. Now, during the match, I mean, you knew this. Aaron knew this was going to come up, of course. But you're watching the match, and Montana, and you see a big, it looks like a grizzly bear that the TNT crew did a good job getting a shot of. You saw a red fox too. I mean, there was wildlife was everywhere. But they showed the shot of that bear, and then they pan to Aaron Rodgers, driving apart. And Brian Anderson, who's an excellent broadcaster, he was saying, "Hey, Bears, Chicago Bears, is there any chance who's gonna be quarterbacking in a number 12 jersey against the Bears this season?" And Aaron's like, "Yeah, I don't know, Brian or BA, I don't know, BA. We'll see." It didn't give them anything. I mean, and Brian Anderson even said, "Hey, what about who's going to be quarterbacking the Packers on September 12th?" Which, of course, as we all know, that's the opening game. Green Bay plays against the Saints, and Aaron knows this too, obviously. And he said, "Yeah, I mean, we'll see." He's letting them love. He's not giving them anything. I know a lot of people are saying, "Okay, yeah, it's go back to Green Bay." I'll believe it when I see it. Because what he is doing, he is just toying with the front office. He didn't give Kenny Mayne anything on SportsCenter. He didn't get Brian Anderson anything during the match on TNT. He's not giving anybody any. Add to it that his teammates, and listen, I've heard Jordan Love has looked good during camp, during mini camp, and obviously training camp starts in a couple of weeks now. But I heard, we all saw, you could look it up, Devontae Adams, David Bakhtiari, all these different Packers teammates were like, yeah, can't wait for Aaron Rodgers to come back. You know, was it Bakhtiari, the offensive lineman, that said, yeah, I would go to the mountaintops to proclaim my support for Aaron Rodgers. And that's not just blowing smoke. They're like, oh, well, of course they'd say that. He's still technically, he's under contract with Green Bay. Remember 2018 when Le'Veon Bell held out? No Steeler came to his defense. Like, they were almost like, just like, man, screw you, dude. We don't want nothing to do with you. Like in Green Bay, they're like, hey, we can't wait for him to come back. Now, I don't think that's a shot at Jordan Love. I don't think they'd want to, to do that to the kid at all. But in a sense, they're saying, come back, man. And Aaron Rodgers is playing a nice little game here. It's a little bit like what Russell Wilson did, although we've never had a Russell Wilson situation where he's threatened to hold out. We just have had two situations back in, I think it was 2018, when he was looking for a contract extension. And Seattle was like, no, you're asking too much money. And Russ was like, fine. I'm giving you till, I believe it was April 28th. I think it was late April before the draft. And Russ said, guys, I'm giving you late April. I'm giving you a deadline. If you don't sign me to extension by this deadline, you're trading me. I'm not playing here anymore. There's nothing you can do about it. And at the 11th hour, bam, Russell Wilson got his extension. And then this offseason, he goes on the Dan Patrick show on NBC Radio and was saying, hey, offense, I not get hit as much, And so that's, and what do they do? Went out and got a tight end. And they got a new offensive coordinator. Seattle's like, we can't lose. Like, in the franchise. Aaron quarterback ever, which is saying something over Bart. Like Aaron in a heartbeat over Favre, and receptions for my liking. That's another story for another. As John says, they don't want to make their window. Bell was more replaceable. That's true, but this in Dallas a year later, when Zeke held out of training camp, there was a lot of hey, come back when Zeke's going to be. Now Jerry wasn't as thrilled, Jerry's negotiations we saw for darn near 3 years with the whole Dak contract thing. Thank God that's over. But every Cowboy was like, man, can't wait for Zeke to come back. Whereas in Pittsburgh, not the case. And, he doesn't have a history of being the greatest teammate in the world. Le'Veon Bell does. So I don't think it's a matter of being replaceable. Are running backs replaceable? Yeah, probably the most replaceable position in the NFL. That and wide receiver. Unless, obviously, you have an all-time great at that position, which there's not many of those. So I think it's more of a matter of, do you like him in the locker room? Do you want him in the locker room? So I think it's a fair point that you make, and they don't want to miss their window because, obviously, everybody in Green Bay knows. No Aaron Rodgers, no Super Bowl hopes. None. I mean, if you're telling me Jordan Love is going to be as good as Aaron Rodgers, okay. Seems like every quarterback, nowadays is compared to Mahomes. We all know. Very difficult conference. We all know that. So, if you in the NFC, heck, you definitely don't win the division. especially with drafting a Justin Fields. So I think Aaron right now is just saying, man, I got all the leverage in the world. I know this debate going, oh, Green Bay's got the leverage. They're not calling anybody. But my argument to that would be there's no way Green Bay would trade Aaron in the offseason. Because if they get, obviously they're going to, whoever gets Aaron, if he is traded, and he's going to be, whoever gets him is going to have to give up multiple draft picks. But specifically talking about, next year draft or even the draft, we assume Aaron will be with his new team for 2-3 years or so. Are you going to trade him somewhere and then your first round pick is really more like a high second round pick? Because if Aaron Rodgers got Green Bay to back-to-back NFC championship games with Matt LaFleur as the head coach, great offensive line, great receiver in Devontae Adams, but outside of that, guys, not Jair Alexander on the other end, defensively is not just a guy. But as I've got here from John, I think he's going to sit out. I agree. I completely agree with you, man. I don't see a scenario where, training camp, again, it's only 2 weeks from now. I don't see Aaron Rodgers at Packers training camp. I do not see him there. I don't think he would make all this noise just for nothing. Listen, man, to use an old Michael Irvin quote, when this story first broke, it broke the day of the draft. But about a month later, when NFL Network was doing their NFL schedule release special on the network, Michael Irvin, they were talking about Aaron Rodgers, and he said, listen, this guy ghosted his family. You think Green Bay is going to convince him to come back? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I agree with you, man. I think he's gone. I'll tell you a quarterback situation I'm really interested in, and I haven't heard anything about this. What is up with this whole Deshaun Watson thing? He hasn't been suspended. We've heard nothing. I guess we'll find out in a couple weeks during training camp. We'll find out if Aaron Rodgers is going to be at training camp, which I don't think he will be, and Deshaun Watson, which that was just a big fat question mark. We don't know. I have no idea if Deshaun Watson's going to be at Texas training camp, and we haven't heard any of the legal stuff recently. So that's when I'm just sitting back and like, what is going on here? With with the Texans, with Deshaun. I guess if Deshaun is out, if he is suspended, which you think would have happened by now, I guess they'll go with the rookie they drafted out of Stanford. I can't remember the kid's name, but really, really nice quarterback out of Stanford that they drafted. I guess they'll go with him. The Texans' playoff hopes all hinges on number 4. So that one's just one that leaves everybody scratching their head. So we're going to get a lot of answers to a lot of questions in 2 weeks' time, exactly 2 weeks from now, when training camp begins. I believe it begins, I guess, for the Cowboys and the Steelers, because they're playing the Hall of Fame game. It begins on July 22nd, and then maybe like 3 days later or so for everybody else. But we'll see. So transitioning back to the NBA Finals, Giannis. Going into game 1, he was doubtful. Matter of fact, the day before game 1, this past Monday, he was doubtful. I was under the assumption he's not going to play. The show 3 days ago. But then we're starting to get the news, hey, now he's been upgraded to questionable. And I was starting to get flashbacks like, oh no, is this going to be another Kevin Durant with Golden State in the finals in 2019? If so, man, I don't want to watch this movie again. We all know the story. Durant out for a month with the calf injury that we all know calf injury is, but they told us it was a calf. And, he goes from full to questionable, and he plays in 5 of the finals because they is a loss from their season being over. And KD, 12 minutes into his turn, boom, ruptured Achilles. He's out for a year. I'm starting to get flashbacks like, oh, no, don't play Giannis. Don't do it, man. It's just game 1. Heck, if it's game 7 and he's not ready and there's the risk of a major injury, don't play him. You don't have to be Willis Reed, okay? And Giannis came out. Dare I say, he looked spry. He looked okay. Not saying, not injured, although he did say the game he didn't experience any pain in his knee, which is obviously a great sign for him, for the Bucks. But if you'd have told me a week after that injury, when we thought, oh my goodness, Giannis' season's over. No, this can't be another star going down the playoffs. And a week later, he drops 20 and 17. It's not bad. Now, only took 11 shots. Now, we anticipate he'll take more than that in game 2. And so that leads me to this. Tonight has got to be Giannis' night for the Bucks. It's got to be. Middleton has stepped up. Middleton had a pretty solid game the other night to keep the Bucks afloat. Now, obviously, Giannis was on, I wouldn't say 35 minutes is a minutes restriction. That's about what he plays in the regular season. Probably plays a little less than that, but it's the finals. But I didn't just seeing that watch the game and getting flashbacks blocking 20. Well, Giannis at corner faces down and blocks his. I see that. So his knee is obviously bigger than we all assumed it was, and he was ready to go. Now, there's something else about Giannis, and this is no mystery. We all know it's the elephant in the room. This offseason, Giannis has got to change free throw routine. Because we all know the crowd, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First of all, they're counting. They're counting really fast, but focus too long. Dribble, hold it for 5 more seconds, and shoot. By the way, it's shooting too technical here, horrible. But he's got. First of all, it doesn't. It goes in the road from the opposing fans. Continue. Like Shaq had his free throw struggles. He's infamous for that. It's the only weakness in his game was shooting. Like a thing where you're, 1, 2, 3. The added component of it. Fans are already going to be rowdy when the opposing team's, best players at the free throw line, or any player from the opposing teams at the free throw line. But when you're adding that to it, it's like, dude, you gotta change this. You've got to change your free throw routine. And so, can he overcome that? Remember in Game 7, in which I thought that was easily the biggest game of Giannis' career. When he showed up and dropped, 40 points? He's I think at one point in the game he had like 6 straight free throws, and he sunk most of them. It's not like he had like a shooter's roll in some of, like he was knocking them down. He had like 2 air balls, and then he ended up hitting like 6 or 7 straight free throws. So it's like, oh, okay, he's locked in. So I have a comment from Barry Grant Jr. All Even Podcast. It's a mental thing at the line. Very difficult to change routines in an off season. It is, at the very least, make it shorter. So you don't have to hear it from the opposing fans. At least make it a little shorter, or change mechanics. Because if we'll go on the mechanic thing of it real quick, and I think anybody that's played basketball would know this. You want to, and I talked about this on Monday's show, you want to, if I can hopefully do this with the mic right here, you want to keep the ball kind of close to your chest. Kind of, so it's a natural shooting motion, not just stick it, way out like Giannis seems to. Like he kind of bends his arms and sticks it out like he's gonna, throw like a overhead Kevin Love pass or something, right? Or like throwing the ball out of bounds in soccer. And so, there's that aspect of it. He needs to change his mechanics, get with a great shooting coach. Chris Matthews, lethal shooter. Shout out to him on IG. Maybe get with him, but the shooting thing's got to change. And so tonight, I'll predict Giannis' stat line. I think Giannis will drop 32, 16, and 5. 32, 16, and 5 in 40 minutes. Is 40 minutes too much to ask? Maybe. Or maybe not. He played 35 minutes. The one issue for Giannis in Game 1 was conditioning. Like we saw, he was wheezing. He was getting down his knees. Like he was tired. And so, that probably won't be too much of an issue, we assume, in game 2. Because he's up to the speed of the game. And again, it goes back to Coach Bud. Slow down the tempo. Slow down the tempo. I have a stat line prediction right here from John. 36, 20, and 4. Wow. Well, I wouldn't rule it out. Because we all know he's going to take more than 11 shots. Those taking 11 shots, he's trying to get back into the rhythm of things. I know they're putting Ayton on him. They're getting Giannis ISO with DeAndre Ayton. And a couple times Giannis' way. And DeAndre Ayton is a great defensive player. He's a great defensive player. I actually, before the season, picked him to win Defensive Player of the Year. Like, he is a great defensive player. And he did a good job in Giannis. And here's what I liked about Giannis in game 1, and I really hope this continues the rest of the series. He didn't settle. Like, when Ayton was one-on-one with him on the baseline, I was thinking Giannis is going to take a dribble and take a jump shot. Like, that's what he's going to do. He's going to take a dribble, take a jumper, and probably come up short, and was going to grab the rebound and push it out in transition. But what did he do? He drove it to the basket. He got aggressive. And it has to be 2 times more aggressive, too. Then comment from Barry. I've seen with Giannis in regards to his shot. His arms are too actually have a consistent form. Yeah, KD has long arms, too, to be fair. That'd be unfair to shoot like KD. Ask most people to shoot like KD, but I'm just saying. What he can do is raise it up, but long arms, this is the issue. That's true. Again, I'll go back to KD. He's got very long arms. He's got a crazy wingspan, and he's as lethal scorers we've ever seen shooting the basketball. And plenty of other guys, got long arms, can shoot. AD's got a long wingspan. He's a solid mid-range game. Not great. It's gotten better over the course of his career. And so if Giannis can at least get a mid-range, because if he can get that, then, guys, big play him up, trying to get in his business and drive right past him because he's so quick and big and physical and strong. So I think that's add to his offensive game. But John over here says 36, 20, and 4. Could see it happening, but I'm going to go 32, 16, and 5 for Giannis Antetokounmpo in 40 minutes. Now, the prediction time, game 2 of the NBA Finals. Check the Vegas line before the game. According right now to Vegas, they like Phoenix minus 4.5. Obviously, the game tips off 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time on ABC the entire finals. I just gave you Giannis a stat line once again for Phoenix. Well, I guess more for Milwaukee. Phoenix. Will they be able to stop pick and roll with Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton? And if Devin Booker is more efficient, because in game 1, what was he, 8 for 21 he was in game 1? If Devin Booker is more efficient and Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton are playing well, Milwaukee's got no chance tonight. Not in Valley. Not in Phoenix, Arizona. But Giannis will play well, as I said. I think Christon, he's really the key Bucks tonight. Because I know at this point what we're going to get from Drew Holiday. He'll probably give you 15 points at best. Inefficient. If he can get big shots down the stretch of tonight, okay. Kind of like in Game 7 against Brooklyn. Horrible against Brooklyn in Game 7. But he hit all the clutch shots when it mattered, along with Chris Middleton, who led the charge when the Bucks upset the Nets. Middleton, he's had 3 straight good games. But he'll have these playoffs, and it has been enough for the last couple of years for Middleton. 2019, it was 2020, it really wasn't great. But 2021, he'll have 2-3 real games and then 1 stinker. So tonight, Chris Middleton's probably due for a stinker, for a bad game. I'm going to say Chris Middleton gives you 22. Average game. Not a horrible game. We've seen him have some bad games against Atlanta, against Brooklyn. We've seen that in the past against Toronto in the Eastern Conference Finals, against Miami in the semifinals last year. I'll give Chris 22 points. Or 22. Giannis gives you 32, 16, and 5. And Holiday 15. The key, though, Lopez has a big night. Because if the Bucks slow down the tempo, they will, and I think they should. Brook Lopez can have his way. Now, not with Ayton, but Ayton's been guarding Giannis. A lot of times they've been putting, maybe they put Bridges or Crowder on Lopez. Don't forget about Brook Lopez. We see him shooting threes. He was a back-to-the-basket guy coming into the league, but to his credit, he's evolved his game to prolong his career. So I think Lopez is going to have a big night. 5 points. I'll give Brook Lopez 25-11. Tonight, I think the Suns do not cover. Again, the line is -4.5, but they win 105. Excuse me, no. There we go. Phoenix wins this game 107-105 tonight. It's close. It comes down to there, but Devin Booker makes the game-winning shot to win it for the Phoenix Suns, and they win this game and go up 2-0 in the NBA Finals. Now, again, I've still got Suns winning in 6, so I think the Bucks we always see this during big series, is after the home I think Chris Paul scored 9 and 12 assists. As John is a prediction here, Bucks and you change your pick there. I think you changed your pick. I'm not John. I think you had, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am. But I think you have in 6 before the series started. Listen, a lot of people I pick Milwaukee, and I get why. But they're obviously a talented basketball team. But how long, maybe since the 2015, what I can think of, when Cleveland was in the finals and David Blatt, when head coach, we questioned coaching with a team that was in the finals. That's the case with the Bucks. Like, that's, to me, the difference of the series. Is Monty Williams has had elements, pushing all the right buttons. What's Williams' thing for poise? That's been the Phoenix Suns of Johnson talked the other day. Good game 1. John says, so here we go. Yeah, I had Bucks and 6, but I changed right before game. Well, at least before game. I bet the under on this. Phoenix does win tonight, 105. They win 2. They go series lead. And the series will head back to Milwaukee on Sunday, I think it is. Little tip-off time on Sunday. We'll talk about Game 2 tomorrow on tomorrow's show. And then I'll obviously predict Game 3 going ahead into Monday's show. But until then, hope everybody has a great week. Just stay safe. See y'all tomorrow. God bless you all. Peace out.